Kick off. Let me start with my slides here. Let's see. Uh, so thank you guys for joining us today. We have another great round of presenters today and a really great turnout from investors. Really appreciate everybody's time and want to make this a great event for everyone. For those who don't know us, 10 Capital, we've been working in this space since 2009. We were originally called Texas Entrepreneurs Network. Now we're called 10 Capital Network. And at heart, we help startups and investors connect for funding. We do this in several ways. We have online events, in-person events, and we also use AI tools to help people connect as well. In our program, what we're doing is helping a company get ready for presentations. We use a lot of AI tools to analyze the deck, make it better, more readable, and then we have online in-person events. And then we use AI tools to create additional information like why now is the right time to invest. And we mail those out to the investors to continue the education of what's going on, new and actionable information that they can look at to understand the deal better. So in short, we provide the legwork, saving you time and money. We also work with high net worths, family offices, venture capital, and angel groups. So those are the main groups that we use. We are taking companies in the Seed Plus to Series A, Series B category, and so we're looking for people on the venture track to invest in those deals. So in addition, we help high net worths start family offices because they invest in emerging managers. We help VC funds find limited partners because they are raising money from family offices and the high net worths. And then we have angel groups. We help them find members because that's how they fund it. So we're trying to form capital for the early stage ecosystem with these efforts. So with that, we already talked about that. We have 4 online events a month: the Quick Pitch, the Life Science Syndicate, the Investor Education, and we started what was called the 10 Capital Connect. We go over one of the topics we put out in our newsletter. Usually these are how to use AI to analyze a deal or get your deal ready for fundraising. And then we do 2 in-person events a month, one in Austin. We have a speed match, 5-minute pitch, and then 15 minutes with each investor group in the room. So from the time you walk in to the time you walk out, you will get to meet and talk to everyone in the room. And then we also have a Dallas Scale-Up Pitch, which we're now expanding to Austin and later Houston, which is a lunch series. Come out for a lunch, and we have 3 to 4 companies doing 10-minute presentations, 10, 15 investors around the table. Great way to meet people in person, in addition to the online events. This is the 10 Capital team. We're almost 10 people now, and we're continuing to grow. We have opened an office in the Middle East recently, so we need to add Mustafa's picture up here as well to show that we're moving into international areas because we've had companies go and raise $5-10 million from those areas after our program, and just wanted to be a part of that process as well. If you're interested in the 10 Capital Substack, take a picture of that QR code and you'll get a free newsletter that will give you prompts and other information about how to use AI to make your deal better and more fundable. And as an investor, it'll give you tools for screening, analyzing, and diligencing startups, which we see a lot of these days as well. If you are raising funding in the audience, then take a picture of that QR code, fill out the form, and we will come back and talk with you to see if this is a fit for your fundraise as well. So with that, let's get started. Let me go and take this off and stop sharing. Let's bring up our first presenter, our time.
Right,
For
that's
the
the
others
lever.
here, Joseph, we'll set up a follow-up call with you afterwards if you like. And with that, let's move to our next presenter. We have with us Qualisure Oliver. Oliver, if you can kick off your slides when they're ready.
Yeah, so thank you very much for the opportunity to present to you. My name is Oliver Bathe. I'm founder and CEO of Qualisure Diagnostics, and we are a Calgary-based precision oncology company. We've developed a really significant tech stack for less than $2 million of capital, including a thyroid cancer test, which I'll describe shortly, which is now in market. We also have a platform that helps us to deploy diagnostic tests in a decentralized fashion that also is operating. Importantly, we've already achieved a global footprint with that very limited capital. So before there was a Qualisure Diagnostics, I was a cancer surgeon for over 25 years. And one of the things that I've encountered over and over again is that we give these patients who are already sick from their cancer really brutal treatments. And the fact of the matter is that oftentimes the treatments that we prescribe to them, we're not even sure whether those patients are going to benefit. And so what we need to do is we need to better personalize cancer care. The way that we approach that is by looking at RNA expression or the gene expression of cancers. And the reason that that's so effective is that the pattern of expression of genes tells you a lot about the underlying biology of a cancer. It tells you how quickly a tumor is going to grow, where it's going to spread to, and what kind of chemotherapy it's going to respond to. So we've developed a really efficient way of producing those kinds of tests using a machine learning algorithm that we've devised. And our first test that we focused on was a test for thyroid cancer. And the reason that we focused on that is that there was a really significant unmet clinical need. Thyroid cancer is not life-threatening, unlike most cancers, and yet we continue to treat it very aggressively by removal of the entire thyroid gland and giving radioactive iodine. And the fact of the matter is that most people don't need that kind of treatment. And so we need to find a better way to select those patients. And Thyroid Guide PX, which is our test, enables us to identify a group of patients that has a less than 3% recurrence rate, which is quite impactful. We already have Medicare pricing. We have achieved good gross margins. We've already had a citation in the American Thyroid Association clinical guidelines. And this essentially is the first validated test for this purpose. So we are just now achieving our first revenues. We do, however, have very significant traction in a number of different ways. We have a paid pilot at the University of Toronto. We have two peer-reviewed grant-funded pilots in Alberta, and those will be Alberta, our province, will be a first customer. We are about to start a trial at MD Anderson, and there's a prospective trial now underway at the National Cancer Institute through CPTAC. We also have a number of very important collaborations through Sloan Kettering and in Korea. Importantly, we have a very different business model than most diagnostic companies in that it's a decentralized business model. So we partner with CapClia Labs. We have a lab that's doing our tests in the US, in Orlando, Florida, another one in Calgary, Canada, and another one in Singapore that we're just now getting online. We also have some interest from distributors in Israel and South America. And so the advantage of this, of course, is that we never have to build our own infrastructure. And how are we able to do that? We're able to do that because of our cloud-based engine, which we've produced, which is called Molecular Decoder. Molecular Decoder was essentially produced to solve our own problems. The testing can be done anywhere in the world. The data that's produced by the next generation sequencer is uploaded to the cloud and it accesses the diagnostic algorithm that corresponds to a particular test. And within a couple of minutes, a test report is delivered back to the ordering lab. This is essentially the next component of our business model. We're now basically offering this solution to other diagnostic companies to help them to access global marketplaces and also to decentralize their business model. We know that this is going to work because we already have operations in Calgary, in Orlando, and in Singapore. Importantly, when we go into these global marketplaces, the data remains sovereign within the country where the testing is done, which of course is very important. So essentially, we are now evolving. We started out as a thyroid test company. We now have a number of other diagnostic tests, including another thyroid cancer test that's imminently coming out to market. Molecular Decoder is now being offered, and we're producing in collaboration with some major institutions the next version of Molecular Decoder, which involves more AI production so that we can more smoothly perform this testing in the global market. We're just achieving our first revenue now. Initially, our revenue is going to be related mostly to Thyroid Guide PX, but we envision that as time goes on, really molecular decoder is going to comprise the majority of our income. And we are we are projecting that by 2030, we'll be able to achieve a revenue of about 58 million. Now, having said that, there is some very significant opportunity to partner with enterprise, and enterprise partnerships, of course, will provide us with greater access to larger amounts of revenue, including AI-enabled pharma services. So this is our team. Cynthia is our co-founder, and she is a bioinformatics machine learning expert. Dave's a cloud computing cybersecurity person. We have 8 people on our team, all full-time, and we're now raising $7 million. And for early investors, there is the opportunity to come in on a convertible note. What will this get us? This will help us to transform from a diagnostics company to a platform company and then ultimately to an infrastructure company. And we are now at a very important inflection point. With that capital, of course, we're going to be able to achieve much greater sales. So thank you very much for your attention. I'm open to any questions.
Great presentation, Oliver. Who has our first question? Chad.
Sure. Great presentation. I said a couple of sort of clarifying questions. At the start, you mentioned a lot of people get thyroid cancer and they just remove the thyroid, which you indicated is not the ideal scenario. What exactly, I didn't completely understand what your report would say, that they just have cancer or they have a certain type of cancer or it gives recommendation treatments or don't remove the thyroid. I wasn't sure what the sweet spot is that you're trying to
Yeah,
address.
thanks for asking for that clarification. So essentially, if you know that you have a recurrence risk of less than 3%, then that would be a good situation to do something much more conservative. Whereas if you know that you have a high risk of recurrence, then that's where it's really appropriate to remove the whole thyroid gland and give radioactive iodine. So, a lot of patients and a lot of physicians are reluctant to do these more conservative measures, and this provides them with extra confidence. It doesn't actually instruct you to do something because it's important not to do that. That makes it a class 3 device. It's really just the information that helps to make that decision making.
Okay, makes sense now. Thank you.
Great. Seabright, what's your question?
The
Sorry,
perspective,
you're
the platform
muted.
perspective. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
So you were trying to pivot from the platform-enabled product and to infrastructure-driven. So my question is the platform launched in the market already or still waiting for the approval?
So, can you ask that last part, the approval part?
So you are still waiting for the approval before you can launch in the market, right? In terms of the
No.
platform.
So, the first test is a laboratory developed test, and it's deployed in CAP/CLIA certified
Right.
lab. The platform itself, the software is already operational. We are going to engage with the FDA, but really that's more for strategic purposes. We
Right.
don't actually need it. It's more to ensure that we have a competitive advantage in case another company comes up with the same sort of idea.
So it's like a research-based testing. It's not really driving any revenue at this moment.
Yeah, so we were really strategic about this. We had, as you know, we did this with $2 million, and so we had to be very strategic about how we deployed that capital. The way we thought we would get the most bang for our buck is really engaging with major institutions where the key opinion leaders reside, like MD Anderson and University of Toronto and so on. And those are really the people that are going to drive adoption as they present their evidence in major conferences. So now, with this investment, we'd like to be much more aggressive about actually going out and getting sales.
And one last question is, in terms of pivoting into the infrastructure-driven company, what makes you to make this decision, and what are the specific questions this infrastructure is going to solve?
Oh, it solves a big problem. Okay, so the reason that we built it in the first place is to solve our own problem. So we wanted to have a decentralized model. One of the things that happens with diagnostics is typically you'd have a central lab. So there's a very famous test, for example, called Oncotype DX, which happens to be the standard of care for breast cancer in North America. And I asked my colleague in Australia if he ever orders that test, and he says he would never do that because he has to send this sample across the ocean over to North America, which involves a big turnaround time and huge costs. So the rest of the world never actually gets the benefit of these new technologies. So with this sort of platform play and the infrastructure play, this really enables diagnostic companies to bring their technologies globally.
Great. Thanks for that, guys. Next question comes from Andrew. Andrew, what's your question?
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious. You picked thyroid cancer. It looks like this is applicable to other cancers. Do you have a plan to maybe move into other areas to diagnose?
Yeah, absolutely. So we already have a pipeline of tests. It's six other tests, but we have to be really strategic about how we deploy our resources, as you can imagine. Our first test is a thyroid cancer test. And then as we engaged with thyroid surgeons and endocrinologists, they kept asking for this other thyroid cancer test. So that became our second product, and that'll be deployed probably early next year. Um, the one thing I didn't really discuss in a really big way because I didn't want to confuse the story too much is that we're building a transcriptomic foundation model. And that's like the chat GBT of transcriptomics. And what it does is it enables testing using next generation sequencing to be done anywhere in the world using any kind of sample. And the foundation model enables interpretation of that data regardless of the SOP. That's going to be super powerful for us. And I think that at that point, we'll be collaborating with a lot of other institutions who will develop their own biomarkers that will hopefully be housed in molecular decoder. So that I'm really excited about that particular innovation.
Follow up. Something I was a little confused with. You said when tests were being done in foreign countries, the data and the results of the trials needed to remain there. So you can't really put that in your database, or I guess I was a
Oh,
little.
yeah, you can put them in the database. It's just that the data has to be transformed in a manner that is not in any way identifiable to an individual. So for next generation sequencing, the raw files that come out they're like fingerprints. And if you transform them to just numbers and they're de-identified, then that's when you can access them. And our foundation model is going to be using that kind of data. So we've thought very hard about how to ensure that the data remains sovereign and it's acceptable to other countries like, uh, Europe and Asia, for example.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a HIPAA model in the US, only a little more complicated with the fingerprints.
Yeah,
I thought you
yeah.
did a very great presentation, a very good presentation. So
Thank
Great.
you.
Thanks,
well done.
Andrew. With that, let's go to Dana. Dana, what's your question?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Bath. Very noble cause that you are working on. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
My question is, with so much of the data being covered in privacy laws, how do you uncover that large amount of data and information to make these, kind of diagnostic tools? And then do you have a moat, some kind of protection around that algorithm that you're developing?
Yeah, so the algorithms are all in key encrypted vaults and they're private. And so every time a new test comes along and a new algorithm comes along, they get their own key encrypted vault. So that's the way the algorithm is protected. And it enables us to partner with labs without having to share our algorithm, which is really going to be important for other diagnostic companies as well. So in terms of so we are fully cognizant of HIPAA. We have the same thing in Canada, PIPEDA, and every other country has their own laws like that. So we have a very strict data governance policy that's enabled by a software solution that basically separates all of the identifiable patient data from the molecular data.
Great. And then let's go to Josh next for your question.
Yeah, just real quick on the terms of the 7 million, and do you have a lead? Kind of just a breakdown of the round.
Yeah, just started the raise and looking for a lead. And yeah, just looking for a lead, and I guess the lead will determine the terms.
Sure.
Great. And Connie, what's your question?
Well, I kind of have two questions. And this isn't precisely what Andrew asked, but how did you arrive at thyroid cancer as your first application? And are the physical tests that are run already existing in these labs, or are you selling something in addition to access to your software?
Good question. So, my practice was actually liver pancreas. So, thyroid was a really big surprise for me. What happened was that we have this machine learning algorithm that helped us to basically build a couple of tests in a couple of weeks. And then I showed my colleagues in the hospital, and basically the greatest interest was from the thyroid surgeons and endocrinologists because they need a test to help to, select patients better. So it's kind of market pull that determined that, and I learned pretty quickly all about thyroid cancer, as you can imagine. Um, and then the second question, what can you just remind me what that was again?
Are you actually selling test kits?
Uh,
or
right.
or
So,
or data out of existing instruments going into your software?
yeah, so our test it fits in the normal workflow. So what typically happens is a person with a thyroid nodule will get a fine needle aspirate or a fine needle biopsy. The pathologist looks at it under the microscope, and once they determine it's a cancer, that you can use the very same cells from that fine needle aspirate to submit it to next generation sequencing, at which point we get molecular data, and that's where we get the test results.
Great. Thank you, guys. We're at our time. Appreciate good questions and great answers. With that, let's go to our third presenter. We have with us Keegan O'Connor of ChillShark. Keegan, if you could launch your slides and kick off when ready.
All right, thank you.
We see him now.
All right. Cool. You can see the screen?
Yes, we can.
All right, perfect. Well, my name's Keegan O'Connor. I'm co-founder and CEO of ChillShark. We invented a product that turns any bathtub into a cold plunge. But just to start off very quickly, the reason why I started this company was to solve my own problem. I used cold water immersion to help treat PTSD symptoms. Something that really helped me in my life, and I wanted a solution that was able to help me, um, you know, turn my bathtub into a cold plunge. So I solved my own problem, but we got pulled into hospitality, which we'll go through. But ultimately, our goal is to capture hospitality, and as we scale up, we'll reinvest and then be able to make more affordable solutions over time. But the quickest way to accomplish our mission was to focus on where we're being pulled the most. The product itself, which you'll see here, it attaches to any bathtub, so works for any retrofit. But the reason why we focused on luxury hospitality was because the demand was so high. So, we have Ritz-Carlton, Four Seasons, signed a 2-year contract for hardware plus 25% revenue share. We have co-branded opportunity with Lamborghini. We have Grizzlies, Nuggets, Blues paid up front for the product. But the only thing really standing between us and scale is manufacturing. So can we sell it? Yes. And can we make it? That's where my COO, Venkat, really comes into play. He spent the last 25 years kind of scaling hardware in the same category. Venkat, if you want to introduce yourself very quickly, he's going to present later on. and he's been having internet problems. So I'll just keep going. But basically, problem. You can see the picture there. That's genuinely what they do. Four Seasons Philadelphia gets 6 to 8 requests a week from guests, and then they have 73 teams that stay there who will be adding this on as a recovery line item in their master contract. So the solution's obvious. When you look at the broader scope of the industry, you have a tremendous amount of demand around wellness, given the guest buying patterns are changing significantly. What they were spending on alcohol, they're now spending on wellness. And they look to capture the demand specifically when it comes to recovery. They don't have space for a traditional cold plunge. And then when you look at the consumer products, you don't have a design that fits into the environment, which is really important. And, when you look at the other solutions for a legacy spa install, those you can have sometimes 6-figure CapEx build-outs. But the important thing to understand here is the demand is there. We're not creating demand. We're giving a better process, which is why ChillShark makes so much sense. You have the ability to retrofit any tub so they can offer it as a service. We give that premium user experience with our technology so they can pre-schedule, guided protocols, etc. And then over time, as I mentioned before, the mission really to start to learn and understand the optimal time, temperature, and duration for cold plunging. So integrating with Whoop, Aura, Apple Health, Garmin, then doing our own clinical research that's really starting to expand the aperture for cold water immersion. Very quickly, this is how it works. Designed to remove all the friction. All the staff has to do is fill up the tub, set this pre-scheduled on the device or on the or an iPad or a phone or remotely, and then it's ready to go in under 2 hours. This is very important to understand. Why do hotels buy? Hotels buy obviously to increase revenue, but from an operational standpoint, deploying cold water immersion at scale is difficult for a few reasons within hospitality. One, there's different state and local regulations around multi-pool usage. So there's a regulatory headache that they have to account for if the cold plunge is in a public setting. Bringing it in the room with ChillShark removes that barrier and the regulation constraints. Secondarily, serviceability is really important. So think about if you need a pool fixed or a hot tub fixed, you can call a third-party contractor, but you're entirely reliant on the vendor of choice for the cold plunge because you don't have a third-party contractor. And so you really need zero downtime in this environment. So our ability for them to purchase a few extra, keep them on site, or we can ship next day, remotely diagnose what the problem is, etc. We have a completely different service model that made it attractive. So traction-wise, we started in consumer. We thought that's where it was going to go personally, because that was my own use case. There's a tremendous amount of demand, but we realized that by focusing on luxury hospitality, we were able to capture the market in a much more capital efficient way. And what I mean by that is within luxury hospitality, by winning Ritz-Carlton and Four Seasons, we have a demo showroom in every major market. They also are going to be distributing our product to all their guests. They're also selling it to the pro team. So this gets us in front of every professional athlete who's traveling, as well as getting in front of all the teams. So we get the hotels, athletics, and then now we're getting pulled into the residence builds. So luxury residences, they've found that they can increase the property value anywhere from 17 to 25% by adding in wellness amenities, and adding in a cold plunge designed in spec in every residences is a different type of scale that we frankly didn't anticipate. And then ultimately, as we get further down the line, we'll be able to enter in from a more premium position into the consumer, and all the while, we're collecting data and aggregating over time. The business model itself, it's a combination of hardware and software. We did not really price in the technology upside. We believe that the hardware business should really stand on its own. But what you'll see here is, we have that one-time sale for the ChillShark, but then we have, service kits, fleet management, and then we've negotiated in a 25% revenue share with Four Seasons. So they're projecting that they can make $100,000 in revenue, and we're netting, $20,000 to $25,000 of that. Unit economics. So the retail price is 6,500. In our model, we priced in about $5,000 for average selling price. COGS, at smaller batch runs, it's going to be more expensive, obviously, but we baked in around a 10% cost reduction year over year. And then obviously the margins around 42.7% by year 5. So Plunge, if you look at their trajectory, they went from 0 to 100 million in 3 years with no capital raised, and arguably they have a smaller addressable market. We priced in a similar path over a 5-year period, which I find to be conservative, but we feel very confident this is something that we can execute on. From a total addressable market, we kind of did a bottom-up analysis. We can talk about that, but just residences. You look across residences, you look across hospitality, athletics. There's a very big market, and we only need to sell 50,000 units over a 5-year period to hit our goals. These are the competitors, which we can go into, but basically nobody's able to fit into the luxury environment. The concept itself, we're the first person to re-engineer a chiller from scratch for this specific use case, reduce the sound that so you have a blend of sound, engineering, you have the technology that's important to them as well, and then maintaining a cool speed and lightweight. So that was really the edge. And if you look at it, you look at ChillShark not as the product alone. Yes, we have IP, whether it's design or utility, but we believe here that distribution is frankly the moat, and we are being integrated into the business model of the Four Seasons and the Ritz-Carlton, and that's something that's really attractive from an acquisition standpoint as we continue to move forward here. And so I think lastly, if you take nothing else away from this entire presentation, I know Venkat is having internet issues, but Venkat left a $1 billion manufacturer of hot tub, cold plunge, and sauna. He left half months ago to join ChillShark. He was at Watkins Wellness for 10 years. We met because he's been through 3 acquisitions as the technical lead, doing diligence, and this is his first startup. He joined because he saw the opportunity. He understands the market and he knows how to scale this. And so when we look at an exit strategy, we've already been approached by 5 strategics. We're under NDA with 5. Roca Group is the one I'd like to highlight here. They've invited and they're going to, that's the last. So
You're breaking up there, Keegan.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now. Let's go and wrap up with the fundraise ask and jump into questions for overtime.
Wrapping up here. Raising $1.5 million to scale up manufacturing and really get this thing going. So I'll take any questions. Appreciate it.
Great. Connie, what's your question?
Well, only because I'm split between Dallas and Colorado. Keegan, has anyone introduced you to the Woodhouse Group that's developing the Beckwith in Mount Christie?
Yeah.
Okay, because I've met Nick Klaus, who's in Fort Worth, and so let me know.
I have not been introduced to the Woodhouse Group.
Okay.
I would love to meet them if you think that's a good intro.
I'll put my email in the chat and just email me.
Thank you.
Right. We'll also make introductions here at the end or capture those anyway, but appreciate that, Connie. Let's go to Jim Wu.
I want to ask, what's the problem for the manufacturer? Looks like you have some manufacturer problem,
Sorry?
What's the challenge in manufacturing?
Yeah.
Venkat, is your internet working?
I apologize. Hopefully I don't break up too much here. We don't have any challenges to manufacturing. If you're saying if it's a unique design, yes, the design is the problem we're solving is combining the chill speed, a very fast chill speed inside a small package space. So the chiller is much more powerful. It's a lab grade chiller, which we have developed to fit into this. So I don't know if that's answering your question, but we have a manufacturable design. We are just scaling at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Josh, what's your question?
Yeah, good presentation.
Thank you.
Love this space. So what he was just explaining, you guys own the entire hardware stack of all components. There's nothing off the shelf.
No, there are some off-the-shelf components. For example, we'll get a very specific compressor, but the design itself, it's a modular design. We have utility patents on it. We have design patents on it. We have some trade secrets on some of the recovery intelligence algorithms. I mean, obviously, we're going to buy some off-the-shelf connectors or O-rings and things like that. But yeah, the whole form factor is ours.
Yeah, exactly. And then, manufacturing, why couldn't you guys just take deposits and then like as needed build them?
Well, so there's you need a capital investment, if you want to build at scale. And that's how we're building the pilots where we are going to use a prototype method. But it's not just as needed because you need warranty reserves, inventory reserves, because as you start building them out for an operational model, you need to have those reserves. So that's what we're accounting for in our funding. But yeah, we did build like about 10, 15 of them, and we have demoed them. We are in the process of building another 5 for pilots. We have to deliver to a couple of the NBA teams, which we have. But to make it truly scalable and a real business, you need to have warranty reserves, operational reserves, inventory reserves. So that's what we're looking at. So
Got it. Thank you.
Hey, Joseph, what's your question?
You're on mute.
Oh yeah, you're still on mute, Joseph.
You're still on mute.
Let's go to Dustin.
No,
Oh, there
he's
you go,
just
Joseph.
chopped
Go
off,
ahead.
Yeah, you guys said your cost was 6,500 a unit. Is that right?
Retail, correct.
Oh, what's a manufacturer?
Right now, 2,100.
2,100, yes.
Okay. Do you guys foresee getting that down? It seems like with the thing, you guys should be under like $500 a unit.
No, it's not. $500 a unit is for a fish tank chiller, which is what you see. As I mentioned earlier, when you have
You manufacturing in the US or you manufacturing in China?
no,
India.
we're doing it in Bangalore right now. That's our plan right now. Yeah, but the chiller itself. So again, with the volumes we are starting with, it's 2,100. Then we have about a 10% reduction around a value engineering model, and we get it down to 1,700. But I think that's conservative. Yes, it's possible to get it down further, but it can't really compare this to a fish tank chiller or something which you find the
No.
performance and the
No,
package space is completely different. Yeah.
I think that it seemed, I don't know. To me, it seems like a lot of the parts should probably exist. But anyway, the other thing is, I see a lot of stuff about you guys going into hotels. Are you going to put this up on Amazon? Like, is this going to be a retail product like Peloton, like where you can any person can go get it, or does it need to be like monitored by a professional?
No, so we have contracts signed with like leading luxury hotel brands, right? And Ritz-Carlton, Four Seasons, like they will not work with you if you're selling. Basically, what they said to me was when I was walking through the Ritz-Carlton, he's like, "Look, we will put this everywhere, but if you start selling this like down market, we're not going to be using it anymore because it's like they'll pay a premium for the brand." So the reason why we're starting luxury hospitality and not going to Amazon is because we can get higher margins, and then we can get a demo showroom in every major market, and then really get that brand credibility. Because when we enter into the consumer, we're able to, sell it at a higher premium.
It's going to be a different product
Yeah.
for the consumer. You cannot sell the same in the premium and the opening price point channels.
The gap in the market is what we've come to learn is there's missing a luxury provider for cold water immersion, and specifically within this set that checks the boxes for their product. It wasn't what we set out to build. It's what the market told us.
Okay.
All right. Next is Dustin.
Yeah, so kind of along those same lines, as far as like manufacturing, like how many units is this raise going to get you to, and what does that revenue look like, and then what's after that?
Venkat, you want to take that?
Yeah. So basically, this will get us the capacity. I mean, we have the manufacturing plant, but this will get us the tooling capacity and the inventory reserves. The tooling capacity will be good enough for 300,000 units, with modifications and things like that. But really, this is not just for the manufacturing. This is also as we start supplying product in the field, we need to maintain warranty reserves. We need to maintain inventory reserves. So that's what it'll create. But that some of that will be offset by customer deposits, and all that is baked into our model. So,
Okay.
Great.
And then just to follow up, like what does the next raise look like, right? Like what milestone does that get
yeah.
you?
Yeah. So the next raise, what we are modeling is more from an accelerated expansion. So it would be a Series A. So we are looking at, depending on which, if we take a conservative case or a base case, anywhere from 7 to 10 million raise for Series A. But that's if we want to accelerate it much faster. Because we baked that in because we got asked that question by some investors. If we wanted to accelerate, wanted to grow much faster, what would you need something more?
Great. Next question from Seabright.
So Keegan, what are your competitive advantages? Can you talk more about your competitor landscape and regardless if they are already in the market or still in the development space?
Yep. So the easiest way to understand this is I went to the hotels and they said, look, we will only use this product if it's around 50 pounds, it chills in under 2 hours, it is virtually silent, so under 55 decibels, and it's completely portable. All 4 of those things were product requirements. There isn't a single one who comes even close. So the manufacturing feat here is that we've taken a lab grade chiller, put it in a very small form factor, protected the IP around the modularity of it, how we're going to be able to service it in the field. And so this is the first thing that checks the box, which is why we have so much inbound demand.
Great. And last question from John Ballinger.
Yeah, this seems perfect for pay as you go. In other words, you get paid by the transaction and you give the units to the luxury hotels.
We get both.
They know how to, I know it's capital intensive, but first, just the issue of getting penetration and being able to scale, it seems like a very ideal for that because it's, you have to, and you're going to probably have to have people within a couple of hours drive of the hotel just for servicing and things like that. So I just thought it's almost tailor-made. Like what would the hotel at the Ritz-Carlton is getting $750 to $1,000 a night for the room. They probably would be quite generous on letting you take a good share of the revenue.
You're right.
So
Right.
Selling it is just hard, like.
So we have that. So they're paying $3,500 for the hardware and we get 25% of all revenue. That's in our contract for 4 seasons.
Well, what do they charge for a session?
They're charging $1,000 on the master contracts with the professional sports teams for a 3-day rental. Then they're charging $150 per day on rental. They're projecting they can make $100,000 per year on each ChillShark deployed.
Give them the equipment and get more revenue out of it. You'll get more revenue. If you get 50% of the revenue, you're going to do much, much better.
Well, look, they're open to negotiating that, but the reality is when we're starting up a company right now, we don't have millions and millions of dollars to spare. So, getting them to cover the cost of the product, to see that they're interested in investing in rolling this out was our core driver. On the Marriott side of things, we basically have the exact same thing, except we have a more clear path to scale out across all their portfolios. We have like a clear, do these 4 hotels, then we're going to expand here, and then we're going to start going to residences and then the yacht collection. So I agree with you. Rev share is the way to go. They're also open to OpEx models where they'd actually lease them from us. But again, that's all capital constrained for us.
That's great. We're at time, guys. We have to move on to the next one, but we'll make an introduction afterwards to follow up to continue. Sounds like a great conversation. And with that, let's go to Pete of Healthy for Life.
Can everyone see that?
We see your screen, we see your slides. You're good to go.
Wonderful. All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Pete Ferrari. I'm the founder of Healthy for Life Foods. Some of you have seen this presentation a couple of times, and I'm going to do my best to keep it lively. I may throw in a couple of knock-knock jokes or break out in a little Sinatra or something, but really the message will be clear over the next few minutes that Jaka is actually a sugar. It's a rare sugar, little known in this country, and our vision is simple. We intend to become the Kleenex of the allulose space, and that's really the overriding mission. So we've got an epidemic in this country that we all know about. Sugar is killing us. We've got 100 million adults in this country are pre-diabetic. That's half of the adult population in this country is pre-diabetic. 77% of Americans are trying to reduce their sugar intake, yet sugar is still preferred 4-1 due to taste. We're not willing to give up the taste factor. And that's why the sugar market in and of itself is $22 billion domestically, $100 billion globally, and the sweetener portion of the market is much, much smaller because all of these alternatives taste like a bag of nickels or a wad of tinfoil. So we've really got no remedy until now. Allulose is a rare sugar. It's technically a monosaccharide. The sugar that we grew up with is a disaccharide. So this has the same molecular composition as sucrose, but the molecules affix themselves together in different groupings, and that literally changes it from a poison into a superfood. We'll go into the merits of that. We'll go into some of the facets of this slide, but the most important thing to take away is that because it is a monosaccharide, because it is a rare sugar, it tastes like sugar. It bakes like sugar and it cooks like sugar because it is a sugar. That is the single most important thing to take away from this, other than the fact that according to the International Food Information Council, less than 15% of Americans have ever even heard of this super ingredient. While the healthiest culture in the world, Japan, with a 3% countrywide obesity rate, they use this ingredient in north of 10,000 products. So you've got a masterful ingredient here that is paradigm shifting. It's got all the formulaic badges you would want: vegan friendly, kosher, halal, Proposition 65 compliant, FDA GRAS, all the badges you would want. But it's also been proven in clinical trials to activate GLP-1. And we all know what that is from Ozempic and Wegovy. It controls appetite. It's also been proven in trials to activate the enzymes that burn existing fat, CPT1, CPT2. It's been proven in trials to block fat from coming in and assimilating when other food is ingested through synthase and carboxylase. So you've got an ingredient here that is not just making claims. There's clinical trial data going back 30 years behind it from reputable universities in association with reputable governments. Kagawa University in Japan in association with the Japanese government. Kyungpook University in South Korea in association with the South Korean government. So again, we've got 30 years of clinical trial data and a sugar that tastes like sugar with an 85% awareness gap that dictates a blue ocean opportunity. As far as our metrics go, we had a great year. We're in our third round right now, which we'll talk about. We launched a year ago, and our metrics, this actually has to be updated. I was on the phone with our folks yesterday from Amazon, and our revenue in June of 26 is up 471% over June of 25. Our ROAS is 6.67, not 3.66. So we've got commanding KPIs that are anywhere from 5x to 10x the industry standards. And I attribute this to a couple of things. I attribute it to that handsome gentleman on the right of the slide, Howie Mandel. He's our partner. We did 3,000 placements with him on commercial television, streaming channels, his podcast, and the like, which was very advantageous. But we've also spent a good deal of time building out AI engines that are constantly polling infrastructure built engines out on the internet, polling 24/7, 365, which we'll dive into a little bit. But I think that more than Howie, it's what we're doing with AI that's driving these KPIs. And naturally, we don't just have the D2C component. As you see at the bottom of the slide, we've got a B2B channel as well. We've got customers that are buying a metric ton of Jaka at a time from us, whether it's the liquid or the crystalline form, and they're co-branded agreements where we've got our logos on their labels. Some of these SKUs over here are new to be introduced, to be inventoried. Currently, the pouch and the Jaka Jolt are in the marketplace, available on Amazon or jacasugar.com. The reason why these other pictures are on the screen is because it's important to understand that these are formulated recipes. So while as I'm conserving capital in this second round that just finished a year ago, I didn't want to inventory these products, but I very much wanted to put us in a position to be ready to inventory those products when cash came in order to scale. So you're looking at the skinny sweet tea. That sweet tea tastes exactly like Arizona iced tea, but there's no health hazards. Arizona iced tea has more sugar in it than Coca-Cola. You can drink a 12-pack of these things. No sugar high, no sugar crash, no weight gain, diabetic friendly, keto friendly. The Jaka Fizz at the bottom, a carbonated beverage with flavoring, same thing. The single serve cachets is what you're seeing in the middle, the rectangular packets, as well as the Jaka Chill at the bottom and the skinny Jacarita. So these are formulated. The R&D is done there. I just need to inventory them with this next cash infusion. One of the things that we take very seriously, and this is a function of my background, I'm not going to dive too much into my background. It sounds like a sob story, but I grew up in the gutter. My dad was killed when I was very young. I grew up not eating every day. And part of this enterprise for me, the reason I got out of real estate development, where I was doing pretty well, is because I made a commitment that if I could ever help people find better health and well-being using some catalyst or vehicle, I would do it. And Jaka is that catalyst or vehicle. So we're very much building this as a health and well-being company, not just a sugar company. We've got the opportunity, because of the merits of this sugar, to help people get off the couch, help people find a better sense of self. They can use Jaka as the catalyst because they can enjoy their sweet treats, but without any of the health hazards, and find that quality of life that we're all searching for. So we've leaned into that. We've created a podcast series where we're 50 deep now. I've got everyone from Navy SEALs to clinical dietitians to hypnotherapists to cardiovascular surgeons in this podcast series, all surrounding helping people find health and well-being. There's no subscription fee. It's free. Download it. Find better health. We took a year to create 4 health and well-being modules, downloadable for free on the website. Health, lifestyle, mindset, fitness, nutrition. Find better health. We created a 501c3, the Foundation for Nutritional Equality, which helps feed the 14 million children that don't eat every day, of which I was one. 10% of our profits go into this foundation. This is coincidental that my background and my desire to build this company leans into a Deloitte study and Mintel studies and Moody's studies, where Deloitte found that across a $1 trillion of buying power, 75% of the decision to buy a product has nothing to do with the decision itself. I mean, the product itself. It has to do with charitable outreach, founders, story behind the company, community involvement. We were doing all that by default before I read that study, but fortuitously for us, this is exactly where consumer trends are going. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but suffice it to say, according to the McKinsey 2025 benchmark report, we are in the top 0.04% globally for what we're doing with artificial intelligence. We're not just running reports with it on the back end. We're not just using it to analyze ad spend. It's out there on the internet, looking for ChatGPT searches and Google searches, capturing intent, capturing demand, capturing views, and pointing people to the website or Amazon to purchase. As well, in the back office, we've got Oracle. There are not many startups in the country, albeit the world, that have got Oracle on the back end. And that makes us highly integratable. And I believe it increases our multiple acquisition because of the ease of integration. We also have a provisional patent. Our patent has 25 times less byproduct and waste than Tate & Lyle, a major manufacturer out of Europe. And so that is something that we're pretty proud of as we embrace ESG. My business partner and I have been building companies for 35 years together. We built 3 tech companies together in Atlanta and California in the 90s. We did real estate development for 15 years in 4 states, including Nashville, Tennessee. We both doing very, very well, but we jumped into the sugar business because we know we can help millions of people that are struggling and millions of families that are struggling. The board is stout. Dr. Rona Applebaum, first ever chief science officer at Coca-Cola. Dr. Tom Moran is the inventor of craisins at Ocean Spray. John Crane built the JP Morgan base of operations in Southeast Asia about 30 years ago. So we've getting advice from the best in the business as we scale the organization. We're raising $5 million at a $20 million pre-money valuation. 67% of that goes into ad spend. We are an infrastructure first company. I spent the last year building out the back end ERP system to stabilize it, building out these AI engines to stabilize them, stabilizing the KPIs, not just throwing money, ad spend to artificially inflate shallow revenue. I wanted all of this stabilized, building this F1 engine before I throw ad spend money at it. That's where we are now in this Series A, which is our third round. So we've got a unique ability, again, blue ocean opportunity with very little awareness, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great presentation, Pete. Who has their first question? Here at the top. Who would like to go first? Joseph.
Yeah, man, great presentation. I love your product. I'm actually going to go order some once I get there. Get off this.
Let's go.
Working on a QSR startup. Is this considered processed, or how does that work?
Beautiful, beautiful question. It is a natural product. It is extracted from fructose using enzymatic technology. So it's completely natural and pristine as it's extracted and put on the market. And that's a big, big deal in accordance with what else is on the market today, right? Erythritol, aspartame, saccharin, all of these other concocted mechanisms by which we're getting sicker and sicker. We've got a natural product here now as a substitute that actually tastes like sugar.
Okay, yeah, that's important. You know what I mean? Because we're focused on health, so what you can do with it is exponentially greater if it's not considered processed.
For sure. Yeah, and I'll share with you guys. I was a real estate developer for 15 years before this. I was printing money, Nashville, Tennessee, 3 other states. I'm in my mid-50s. My daughter's going off to college. I had zero reason to jump into the sugar business. And if this wasn't a natural product that tasted like sugar, where I had the ability to take advantage of a big opportunity, I would still be a real estate developer. Just the bottom line.
Okay. Yeah.
Great.
Thank
Josh, what question do you have?
Hey, Pete.
Hey, Josh.
Nashville, Tennessee person myself, so
Let's go.
common thread. Very curious. So, are you processing your own allulose? Allulose has been around for a while now. And what differentiators, if you're processing your own, like why is it different than any of the other alluloses out there?
Great question. So we did all of our marketing asset work, market demographic work, market segmentation work with Gary Vaynerchuk and VaynerMedia, the best in the world. And at that time, we were talking about, do we build a plant right now and start manufacturing immediately, or do we start out as an importer because there's a 85% awareness gap and start building the brand? And it was unequivocal. Start building the brand, work on manufacturing on the back end, and then bring it up to meet it, and then blow it through the roof. So that's what we elected to do. So currently we're importing it from Southeast Asia as we build the brand. That said, we evaluated 30 suppliers. Took us 6 months in the beginning of this company's life cycle. We disqualified 26 for various reasons: look and feel, cookability, molecular inconsistencies with the COAs and what was actually being provided to us. We were testing at that level. The nature of how it felt in your mouth. So all alluloses are definitely not created the same. I've got access to 4 suppliers, redundancy at the top of the supply chain, tens of thousands of metric tons, but the provisional patent that we did create has got a 92% chance of being accepted. It's got 25% less waste with that same A+ quality that we need in order to serve the market. So that's very much a part of our vision, is to build out manufacturing, and that provisional patent positions us in that fashion.
So really, you're just a marketing company with a product.
Basically, yeah. I mean, some of the biggest companies in the world are distributors, right? That's kind of the MO right now as we're doing site selection. And interestingly enough, that site selection includes the MENA region right now. We're having a lot of discussions in the Middle East, North African region. Very, very business friendly. The governments over there are jumping in because of the sugar problem that they have, and sugar taxes and the like. So we've got potentially a very unique opportunity to put in manufacturing in Riyadh, for example, where I can easily translate that patent for like $4,000. So really active manufacturing component to this business, but didn't want to waste the time. It takes 2 years to build a plant. Didn't want to waste the opportunity to be creating awareness and building the Jaka community.
Are you able to talk or discuss the arrangement with Howie Mandel, like what his arrangement?
Yeah, for sure. I had the ability to do equity with him, but I decided to preserve the ownership in the company for later because those numbers are huge. And so we did a pay for play with him. And naturally now, before he, as you probably know, if you know anything about Howie, he's a germaphobe. He's got OCD. He's incredibly intense with what he promotes. So he very much had to vet us before he agreed to participate. But we did a pay for play with him because I wanted to preserve the equity. We've got 52% of the company left right now. Our burn rate is 37 a month. We've got 400 grand in the bank. So if we don't bring in another nickel, I've got 10 months of runway where we're going to use some of that to find other A-list advocates as well.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Connie, what's your question?
Hi, Pitts.
Sorry.
Hi, Connie.
I have not looked into your business, but I'm an allulose user for a long, long time. And I think probably what's limited its success in the past is education.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
we may finally be at a point where there's such a focus on longevity and well-being and a motivation to change how we think of healthcare, as opposed to sick care in this country. So I'm a big fan of allulose because it browns and caramelizes. So I've only used it for cooking things, for sweetening my tea, and I don't drink coffee. The pink stuff in the little packets, very convenient. So anyway, I'm really excited. I got to see your presentation and hope to talk to you more.
Oh, I appreciate that. She is not a plant, folks. She's great.
Never
She
met.
sounds like it, but she's not a plant.
Right. And Dana, what's your question?
Excellent. With being the fourth presenter, you kept us excited and interested. So good job. You're a salesman for sure.
Thank you, Dana. No knock-knock jokes. I was able to get away without any knock-knock
Yeah,
jokes.
you didn't even need to do jokes, and we were all kept on our seats. So, question on exit and returns, and maybe you're not planning on exiting, maybe buyback or something, but how will you retain the impact? You know, you've got your 10% going to donations. Wonderful that you've got your own nonprofit doing that. So, how will you retain the impact if you sell? And what are your exit or return plans?
It's a huge question, and candidly, Dana, I wrestle with that every day because naturally I've got to do what's in the best interest of the investors, right? That's the primary purpose, even above myself and my family. This is the fifth company I've built in the last 40 years, and it's always the same. The investors come first. And so acquisition is a likely exit. This is a 2.5 year play to build this brand. We're going to be doing mainstream advertising. There are no commercials for allulose on real TV or on streaming channels. We have the ability to be the Kleenex of the allulose space and take it over before anyone even knows it exists. So 2 year play, and we could see a 15x EBITDA to a 25x EBITDA exit based upon current comp. Swerve Sweetener was acquired by Whipstitch at 14.8x EBITDA. So that is a great story. That is a short timeline. However, to your point about the narrative, we get acquired, I lose control of the narrative. I mean, I could do some fancy negotiating, but I've been acquired before, multiple liquidity events, and it's a lot of tongue in cheek with how much control you end up having, no matter what the contract says. So the way to preserve the narrative is IPO. Now, I know IPOs are a mess. I've done one in the 90s. It damn near killed me. But if we do an IPO and this company goes public, we preserve the narrative, and that enables us to help people generationally. I tangle with this every day, Dana, and I'm going to count on our investors and our board to guide me as this thing evolves, right? Situation's going to change. It's going to be fluid, amoebic. So I think I'm hoping that that answer is presented to me as this life cycle unfolds.
Thank you for your honesty, because I like that. That gives me more confidence. You're not saying, oh, I have the exact answer. No, you're wrestling with it. You're not sure. You're going to listen to your board and your investors. Great answer. Thank you.
Dan, thank you so much. You know that I'm a victim of my Sicilian heritage. What you see is what you get with me. So it kind of is what it is.
All right, great. Appreciate also the great questions we had here. And now at this point, I'd like to ask everyone to unmute, and I'll just ask each investor as we go through, who would you like to follow up with? We'll do an email introduction to go forward from there. Let me start with Yaniv. Yaniv, who would you like to follow up with?
I'm good. There are a few companies here that know us already. They know how to apply to us. And by all means, if and when the right time arises, they should go to bioangels.net and fill in the application.
All right, we'll do so. Andrew, who would you like to talk to? Let's go to Jim Wu. Jim, who about you?
Oh yeah, I already have the contact with the Qualisure in Canada. We are doing some project in China right now, so we will follow up anyway. Yeah.
Okay, great. Dana, who would you like to follow up with?
Sorry.
Oh, Andrew, are you back?
Yeah, I'm off mute. I got stuck finding a button.
Go ahead. Which name would you like to follow up with?
I'd like to learn more about the oncology company and the sugar company.
All right, we'll put that down. And then Dana, how about you?
Actually, I'd love to hear from everyone, but right now I'm pausing my personal angel investing just for this next year. But if any of them are interested in learning about using charitable capital investors into their investment, not donations, but literally donor advised fund money to invest in your company, I can help them talk to them about how Impact Foundation does that. So if any of them are interested in that, I'm happy to connect.
All right, we'll do that. Seabright, how about you?
So I'd like to hear a little bit more about Keegan's company as well as so that's why I think it's a sugar company, right?
Right, I'll do that. Dustin, how about you?
We'd love to learn more from Keegan and Pete.
All right, and Steve Keys, how about you? He may have jumped. Tim Baskerville.
Yeah, impressive presentations, but I think at the moment, nothing that's really in my sweet spot, so I'll pass for now.
All right, Andy Quick, how about you?
I think the cold plunge company, Chill, I
All
forgot the
right,
full name. And the first two um, are not in my wheelhouse, but they might be in the wheelhouse of MD Angels, which I am on the leadership team from. So they should take a look at MD Angels.
All right, we'll use your name with MD Angels and go forward from there. Appreciate that. How about Joseph?
I like to talk to Pete. I think we might be able to figure something out.
All right, let's do that. Troy, Billet. Is Troy still with us? Troy, he may be off mute. Let's go to Connie. Who would you like to follow up with?
Jaka.
All right, got you down for that. And I'll go and how about ChillShark for the Woodhouse thing, just to make a introduction there. And appreciate that. And Josh, how about you?
Yeah, Keegan, ChillShark, and then the other investors. If I'm not connected with you as well, I just put my LinkedIn in the chat. Happy to connect and see who's building what and how we can help startups.
All right. And Chad, how about you? Chad is still there or not. Jean Ballinger, how about you?
Keegan's company.
All right, got that. And down through the list, we have other names such as Mohammed Osman. Is there anybody you would like to follow up with? All right. Let's see. We had one more. I think that's everybody on the list. If that's, did I miss anybody?
Yeah, hi, Helma.
Just to be clear, my contact with Nick Klaus and Woodhouse is basically social, but they are based in, right now I'm in Crested Butte and he's here, but he's based in Fort Worth, and then the founder of Woodhouse is based in Dallas. So
Hey, Connie, no pressure at all. I appreciate the offer.
And that's luxury spa, not hotel, but luxury spa.
Yeah.
Totally. Thank you, and no pressure at all.
Yeah, no pressure. Sarah, do you have anybody you wanted to follow up with?
Yes, actually, I'd really like to follow up with our first presenter, Dr. Schwarna. I'm very interested in looking at that hospital commercialization pathway and how we could provide support in that space. We come from Biomedicine comes from a little bit different angle, but commercialization and first adopter, early adopter programming is something we're very interested in supporting. So I'd love to hear more about the technology and how to get it into patients.
Great, Sarah, thank you.
Anybody else that I missed?
Yeah. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Helma. Hi. Mr.
Yes,
Hall.
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm very much excited about what um, Kagan and Pets are building. I'm curious around market entry opportunities for the African market. That's something that I like to stay in touch regarding. If they are looking at expanding in the future, we can connect with them in the African market. That's a good one. I think for now, then connect to the investors and see how things goes.
All right. We'll make connections there. Thank you so much for that. Anybody else? Well, with that, for those who have to leave, we appreciate your taking time today. For those who have 5 more minutes, we're going to do a short presentation on how do you make your pitch deck AI readable. I will drop into the chat box if anybody wants to see how do we have a article that just came out on our Substack called the 10 Capital Connect. I put that in there. If you want to copy that out, you can sign up for that and get we published this week that article with a prompt. And anybody who wants the prompt, you can just download that, drop it into your favorite AI model, and then put a pitch deck, and it will tell you how you might change that deck to be more readable by AI. So with that, let's jump into a short slide set here. Let me share my screen first. Go back here. And just about 5 slides I'd like to share with you on this topic, because I find sometimes people come back and they say, the investors aren't looking at my deal. They're not. It seems like they're not getting the message I'm putting out there. And so what I found is that when I look at their deck, they have all these graphical shots on it. And the problem with that is AI cannot read many graphics. If you bury a message down inside the graphic, it cannot read that, and so you're not getting credit for that. Also, when it does analysis, it's looking for certain metrics, and oftentimes decks are missing those metrics. And if you're missing those metrics, unfortunately, you're not getting credit for it. So the question is your pitch deck AI ready? And so today, 65% of investors no longer look at your deck. They put it into an AI model and they start analyzing it, which is as what you would expect them to do. They're trying to save time and trying to get a better answer. And so they're running it through ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. They're building investment summaries. They're analyzing metrics and benchmarks and so forth in it. And then there's also they're drafting memos to share with other people in the group itself. So if AI cannot clearly extract your business, traction, market, or competitive advantage, it's going to give you a poor summary of your business as well. And what the issue is that every slide doesn't actually represent what you said. It's just placeholder points up there for you to talk about. And so many founders rely upon visuals, narration, and animations. But AI only sees the exported PDF. It doesn't see what someone might be saying about it. The other thing is I find that a lot of people bury information inside of graphics and screenshots and diagrams and charts. And what you have to do, since it can't read it, is to write it out in text. What is the ARR? What is the customers? What's the retention? What's the growth? Now, up front, you have your narration, how you're trying to tell your story. You don't have to change that. At the end, you have a question slide, and then after that, you have what I call appendix slides. What you can do is take this text and put it into the appendix slides. In fact, I have lists of about 50 to 75 data points AI is looking for. And when I run it through the average deck, it's missing about 50% of them. And so what you can do is put all of them in the appendix with my ARR is this, my customer growth is this, my retention rate is this, and nobody has to see that. It can be just an appendix only for the AI to read it when it gets there. The other thing it looks for is a predictable structure. Looking at the problem, solution, market, product, and if you're using that, it does better. If you're doing unusual things like the team slide went first, or the fundraise slide went first and the team went last, it can get confused a little bit in trying to figure out what it is. The other thing I find is, some people put a chart up there that goes from 0 to 100 and it goes halfway up, so you want them to read 50. AI has a hard time doing that. So anytime you're trying to rely upon charts to tell a story, write it out. ARR grew from 400K to 2.15 in the past 12 months. Just state it out in words that it can actually read and pick up. The next thing that I find is probably the most important thing to do is build a strong executive summary slide. What you do, what problem you solve, how large is the market, what traction, how much you're raising. That really gives it some anchoring points so it knows kind of what domain we're in, what stage we're at, what we're trying to do, and then everything else can kind of fit in and around it. If you don't have that, sometimes it goes off in the wrong direction. Next thing is, replace the jargon, internal code names, acronyms, proprietary technology. Go ahead and spell those things out at least once so it knows whenever it sees it that, oh, that's what that is. That helps it a lot. And finally, make your ask explicit. A lot of people say I'm raising $1 million, but we don't know what the stage is, which round this is, how we're doing with the funds. And having a little bit more information like raising $4 million seed round, we're going to buy product, work on regulatory sales and hiring. That makes it the same. So before you send out your deck, I encourage you to run your deck through ChatGPT or Claude, and then ask it to summarize the company, extract the metrics, describe the market, see what the opportunity is and what is the fundraising ask, and see if it's giving you the answer you expect it to give you. If it's not, it means that one, we have something buried in the graphics or we're not telling them, or two, we've given it the revenue, but we've given it 3 different places and all 3 places have a different number. And so misalignment of the numbers sometimes causes confusion as well. So every slide has a clear headline. Every chart is written metrics next to it. Every exec summary is included, is standard pitch deck flow, no jargon, ask clearly stated, and you can accurately summarize what your company does. We'll solve a lot of this as well. So again, if you go to this 10 Capital Connect, Halty Martin, if I go back here, you can actually see we have a Substack article here that we publish every Sunday. Is your pitch deck AI ready? If I click onto it, it goes out and you get a nice graphic here that explains how you do this. So all of this comes out every week and it's a different topic, and that's the topic for today. Any questions before we wrap up, guys? All right.
It's really interesting. Thank you. Do you recommend having 2 pitches? One that's AI ready and one that then would be more visually pleasing and whatever?
Well, I think you don't have to change the upfront except making everything align. Where I would put all of this stuff is in the appendix. I would just realign everything in the back with this so that it can find it. Because you don't know who's going to put it into AI. I think one day everybody will put it into AI. And so we kind of need to have one deck if we can, because you don't know where it's going to go. But like I say, there's nothing harmful about putting this in the back, because if it can't read the chart up front, you'll get that information elsewhere in the deck.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, guys. With that, let's go and get any other questions?
Hall, do you have any recommendation, ChatGPT over Claude? Is one better than the other for anything in particular? Or?
Well, actually, we started off with the enterprise version of OpenAI ChatGPT, and because it didn't let your data out into the wild, we got the enterprise version. And there for a while, enterprise and Claude were about the same. About 3 months ago, I saw Claude kind of move ahead. Now when I get data from or results from Claude, they're nicely formatted, they're more complete, and OpenAI is falling behind a little bit. So we're moving to Claude for a lot of our stuff. There are some things that ChatGPT does better in certain scientific worlds, but if you're looking for analytical information, reports, analysis, Claude is coming up with something much better. And we're now taking all of our prompts. We have over 1,500 of them. We're now putting some of them into agent form, and we're kind of turning them into standalone apps that we can just send out or just use directly without having to go through all the setup and structure that we do now. But right now, Claude is ahead by about 6 months from OpenAI. We'll see where they are in a year from now, but it does move and change.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else, guys?
Thank you all.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming today. We'll let you get back to it, and hope to see you next time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Take care.